You are now listening to the Hot Take Hot Box. You are now listening to the Hot Take Hot Box. You are now listening to the Hot
Ladies
Take
and
Hot
gentlemen,
Box.
it is the Hot Take Hot Box. My name is Matt McSweeney. We are here to talk about our Philadelphia Eagles. As the fight song played you in to know that we are 9-1 now, ladies and gentlemen. We have exceeded everybody's expectations, even those of the most loyal of fans. We went into KC, didn't play our best game. A nice dreary night in the beautiful city of Kansas City. I've heard. I heard it is a very nice place, but we go in there, we take care of business, we get a little bit lucky, and we end up 9-1. This is, like I said, this is the Hot Take Hot Box. My name is Matt McSweeney, and I am joined by a man who just arrived back from Kansas City, who went out there to lay it all on the line for our Philadelphia Eagles. That man's name is Ty Capone. Ty, how are you feeling? How was your trip? Everything that we need to know.
It was good. It was good. There's a lot to really discuss. I guess I could go on for. We could have a specific podcast just talking about what I did in the city. The first night, I'll just do a quick little synopsis. First night, I got drunk downtown, nice. And I was walking around for what seemed like 3 hours in some parking garage. I had no idea where I was. Just kept walking in circles. So I eventually got out and Ubered home from the curb of some gas station that was closed.
Nice.
I don't know how I ended up there, but it was a pretty good night. Met some people. Chilled out on Sunday, hit a dispensary. That was fun. Missouri as a state is pretty terrible, I will say.
Okay.
I feel like I developed shin splints walking up and down the various hills of the state. The broken concrete all around the state.
Nice. The
dreary rain. But Kansas City in general, whether it's the part in Kansas, the part in Missouri, is nice. I like it. The people are cool. The food's awesome. Badass. Even the bad food is good. The bar scene's pretty dope. They tried warning me about violence and shit, but I didn't see any of that, and plus I didn't care.
Well, I mean,
yeah,
we live right near Philadelphia,
Florida and Philly.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, and then Arrowhead was beautiful. Beautiful. It's so loud. It's so nice. I guess it's called GEHA Field, which I didn't know that. I thought it was Gayha Field, but what do I know? And, yeah, the tailgating scene is crazy. They don't fuck around. They're a lot like Eagles fans, Chiefs fans are. They're just nicer, I would say. Yeah, some random dude gave me a cheesesteak at the tailgate. Fucking house that thing. That was awesome. Yeah, a lot of people from, bumfuck nowhere, Iowa, Nebraska, other states that are, huge either Eagles or Chiefs fans. It's kind of awesome and random. But the game itself was it started out really just not great.
Yeah.
I was not in the most optimistic of moods. The guy next to me, he kept me alive all night. And then there was this little girl, she was like 5. It was her first game. She kept high-fiving me. So I had good people around me. But man, 7 yards in the first half. We both start with a 3 and out, and then I think they scored, and then we scored, and then we threw a pick, and then they threw a pick.
Yep. So
we kind of it was just a back and forth game. It was very just ugly, and I know a lot of people were saying we got to take the over. We got to take the over. This is the Monday night game where the overs hit. Nope, the Monday night unders continue to be a thing all year, but the weather was just. I mean, it wasn't letting up at all. So. That sucked, but honestly, at one point, it sucked when I was in the tailgate and it randomly started pouring. But once I got into the game, I didn't give a fuck. Really, I was like, I'm here, I'm already drenched, and let's just keep going. So that wasn't even that bad, honestly. I didn't hate it. I didn't hate the weather. I was kind of prepared for it, and we won. That's really all that matters. It didn't matter if there was a hurricane, a tornado, a shooter. A live active shooter on the field.
Jesus.
As long as we got the win, that's all that mattered. I didn't go out there. I kept telling everybody, I'm like, we didn't come here for a fucking loss. we came all the way out here for a W and we got it. We got that revenge. Obviously, the Chiefs fans leaving the field were like, yeah, but we won the Super Bowl. Yeah, last year. We're in a new season, baby. So, and also, I think we did get lucky like a lot in this game, but the Chiefs have some issues. Like they might have one of the worst wide receiver rooms in the league. Like it is all time bad. And I have to say something about that. Yeah, guy had a career day against us almost. I will say that MVS drop. The lights over there are pretty fucking strong. I know it kind of sounds like an excuse, but I noticed it. I'm like, he had, the ball was kind of not the best throw. I mean, it was a good throw. It wasn't perfect, but he kind of had to extend himself, reach behind a little bit, and having the lights in your eyes. I saw Tyreek Hill say something about that. Yeah, not easy at all, honestly. And they had Travis Kelce had 2 or 3 drops and a fumble.
Yeah.
So shout out to T Swift for not showing up. I know she wanted the Birds to win, so let's go, man.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, we definitely got lucky, but that's, there's games where we haven't gotten lucky and lost. That's how we lost the Super Bowl was a kind of an unlucky fumble by Jalen Hurts. Absolutely. And things not going your way, an unlucky call with a holding, like that's kind of how football and sports are in general. Sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't, but like I said to a couple of my buddies who were like, I can't tell if the Eagles are just lucky. I'm like, yeah, they're lucky, but they also created a lot of their luck by the defense played probably their best game of the year. I don't think that's even a question. It's like they played really good, and they didn't even do what we kind of talked about wanting them to do, which was shutting down the run. Pacheco was having his way at some points during this game.
Man.
Huge holes he was running through.
The edge. They couldn't contain the edge at all game pretty much.
No.
More so in the first half, but there was even times in the second half they were just breaking to the outside, and they very early. I was telling the guy next to me, I'm like, very early, like we got to shut down the run. The first 5 rush attempts, we can't let them get more than 5 yards, and they broke off. I think the second or third run, boom, 20 yards to the right, Pacheco. And I was like, well, now we're fucked because that opens up the pass, and I have so many issues with our pass defense. Which didn't even really go to show in this game. Bradbury, I think he got thrown at. I didn't really see his name get called. Darius Slade didn't have his best game. So there's a couple guys that didn't have their best game, right? I think some of the young guys like Sidney Brown and Eli Ricks, they continue to struggle, but it's kind of a lot to ask for them, right? They kind of sit on the bench all game, and then they come in, and you're like, all right, you got to cover one of these guys. Maybe it's not a great name, but it's also Patrick Mahomes thrown to them, so it's a challenge nonetheless. BG, Fletcher Cox, really starting to show their age. Fletcher Cox with just an absolute I know I saw some people say it wasn't a roughing the passer. I don't understand what he was doing when he hit Patrick Mahomes late.
It's just tough. In real time, it's tough. Like, I just hate that because I said the same thing because I was angry at the time. But it's not even you can't do that in that time period of the game, and you just can't put your hands on a quarterback like that. But I just can't stand when guys who are 6'5" and 240 pounds flop around like that. Like it's like he's acting like he got crushed.
That's all he does.
Yeah, I can't stand it. I cannot stand it.
I will say though, Fletcher, it wasn't a malicious hit. It wasn't a violent hit. It wasn't a suspension worthy hit. It wasn't head to head but he let go of the ball, and he had zero. He had time to hold up a little bit. He did not. He just went right through him, and I was like, you dumbass. You're a veteran. You know not to do that, especially against Mahomes. I understand it's football, right? But you got to be smart. You're the leader of this team, and that could have been our demise. It could have.
It could have.
Marlon T didn't play much, but, man, he was active. Milton Williams was really active. He also got hurt. I thought it was bad. I think he was like his own guy hit him, like face mask to face mask is what I remember. I was like, oh, man, I hope he's all right. But he was active in the game. Bradley Roby played great. Jalen Carter was getting held every single play.
Yep.
Literally every single play. Even plays where he got pushed to the ground, kind of like pancake-ish, he would get up and just get right back in there. He almost got that interception at the end of the first half.
Crazy.
Which was crazy. I didn't even see it in live, live. I didn't even notice it. Hassan Reddick was getting held a lot.
Yeah.
Kevin Byard played good. Reed Blankenship played well. I didn't notice Sweat. I was waiting for 94 to step up in the fourth quarter, but I think, we did really well beating their tackles, kind of pushing their tackles back. Donovan Smith and Juwan Taylor. But, we weren't getting many sacks, but we were getting a little pressure. We were just, Mahomes was just getting it out. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. Remember, he had Kelsey wide open and just overthrew him. I forget who. I think it might have been Fletcher or Jalen. That was no, it was Fletcher. He missed a sack. Fletcher had like 3 missed tackles in this game. Just inexcusable. The one on the sideline where he had him and he fucking somehow missed him. He had a sack, missed him, and then Mahomes almost got hit and he let it go and just missed a couple guys. I think at the end of the game, that pass to Justin Watson on 4th and 25 could have been a catch. Honestly, too.
He should have caught it.
So. Yeah, some breaks went our way, but also some things didn't go our way. I almost had PTSD flashbacks when McDuffie stripped Hurts. Remember when Hurts obviously fumbled in the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
He fumbled this game too, but he was able to get it back. Thank God, because that was deep in our territory. It just seemed like we couldn't capitalize whenever we were given a chance until the second half. And then DeAndre Swift ended up playing, having one of his better games in the last month or two. Brian Johnson, I don't know, man. Calling like 5 screens in 6 plays. It's funny because the last one ended up working, right? The pass to Swift, because they threw Swift a couple screens. There was one that he didn't follow his blocking, so it was a 3rd and 1, and then it set up a 4th and 1, and then we ran it instead of doing the brotherly shove for whatever reason, and we didn't get it. I think that might have been 3rd, and we had the punt. But then at the end of the game, they threw him a screen after the 2 screens, which the one to Julio, I was like, what are we doing here? What are we doing? We threw a screen to the left, then we went to the right. Same back-to-back plays. I couldn't
they're
believe
running
it.
bubble after bubble after bubble. It's like, why are we running a college offense? Our quarterback's actually good. He's not bad.
Yeah. We weren't even running it to A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith was the craziest part. We were throwing screens to Julio Jones and DeAndre Swift, but whenever Swift would come out the middle, a screen over the middle of the field, it actually worked. And then one of the last ones we ran ended up getting 20, 30, 40 yards or whatever happened. And that kind of set the tone for that drive, which led to the game-winning score. So, yeah, I mean, defense turned up, offense turned up, and Mahomes made mistakes and we capitalized. The Byard pick was great. I as soon as it happened, I saw it. I was like, oh fuck, I hope he gets there. So.
Byard played a great game, man. He finally looked like he's starting to acclimate into the system.
It took a couple weeks, right? Had to get used to a whole brand new scheme and team and whatnot. But yeah, man, that was awesome. That was awesome.
I'm glad you got to go see a win. I'm glad they didn't make you travel all that way and then throw up a dud, because in the first half it was looking bad. And
yeah,
I will say you're right though. Like the Brian Johnson, it kind of, until you said that, would have probably been swept under the rug because they won. It's just like that's all I kind of cared about. But really, he has been awful, man. He has no feel for the game whatsoever and feel for the guys that he has. A.J. Brown got clamped up in this game pretty badly.
Yeah, L'Jarius Sneed has he's done really well this year, shadowing wide receiver ones. And this game, he was just all over him. I mean, they weren't even trying. It's funny, they weren't even trying to throw him a screen. I thought they would have tried to get him the ball and let him maybe make some magic happen, right? But they weren't even trying to do that. Devontae Smith came up big. He was open all the time, obviously paying attention to A.J. Brown. Opened up Devontae in that big, the last big play, the 41-yard reception or pass and catch. Great throw, great catch, and that set up the sneak. So I think that's how we won, right? That was the winning touchdown.
The sneak, yeah, I believe so, right? Yeah.
Right after the 41-yard play. So, yeah, man.
Unreal throw and catch, by the way, on that. I mean, it's finally good that Brian Johnson called a play down the field. But
we weren't going downfield the whole game. I kept telling him, I'm like, yo, can we throw the ball downfield just to, try? Because remember the A.J. Brown one that was incomplete? They tried. He caught it, but it was just out of bounds.
Yeah.
So I want to see it more. Even throw it to Julio Jones. He's 6'5". What are the odds that somebody is going to be on him that's, his height, Trent McDuffie is awesome. He's a baller. L'Jarius Sneed's a baller. Chris Jones is a baller. He pretty much had his way with Lane Johnson whenever he was on him, which wasn't often. He kind of stayed in the middle, but at the end of the game, they put Chris Johnson on the edge, and he went right around Lane a couple times. I was like, Jesus. But and the defense, like I said, we didn't get sacks, but we got some pressure. Just not as much.
Eventually.
I really want it. that I really wanted, and I really thought 94 or 7 was going to get a huge strip sack or a huge sack at the very end of the game to kind of shut some shit down. But at least we got some pushback. At least, Roby played great with the Peanut Tillman punch. That was awesome.
Yep.
That was huge. Honestly,
Yeah, that Kelsey fumble was huge, man. That was
what? Yeah, would you say that was like the most important play of the game defensively? Anyway,
I think in general, because if they go in there and score, there, the game's over.
Bayard.
Yeah,
they were both in the red zone. So those two, and then the Devontae catch at the end of the game. Those are the three biggest plays, in my opinion. And just two brand new, our two newest acquisitions on defense, making big plays in the red zone. Love it.
Absolutely love it. And the Eagles escape with a victory. There's obviously some things they need to clean up, but I think that's a positive, is the fact that they're not playing their best football right now, and but they're still finding ways to win games. It's somewhat the opposite of last year, because we were blowing teams out, and we were never really in a close game until the playoffs and the Super Bowl, and then things didn't go our way. We didn't find a way to win, even though we were right there that whole time. It was a whole different situation. But I think this team has that championship-like DNA, and I think they will find ways to win these games as long as they stay close. And in these games, the defense stood up when in other games they had gotten cooked and things weren't really going their way. Our offensive line did not look good on Monday night, but you have bad games from time to time, and the Chiefs are a very, very good team, and we were able to hold our own, and we got the victory. I think that is the most important thing. And this was the toughest game, I think, of the whole little gauntlet that we're about to go through, was going into Kansas City on Monday night off of a bye for both teams, and we went and we beat them, man. They didn't score a point in the second half, whether a turnover or not.
Insane.
We shut the best quarterback, the most talented quarterback of all time. We shut him down in the second half. So I think that is deserving of credit, and I'm happy. You can't really rain on my parade right now, because a win is a win. I would have been mad when they, during that Jets game, had they won and they didn't play well, but they didn't win. So I was even more angry. So I'm not going to sit here and get angry over winning ugly against the defending Super Bowl champions. It seems silly.
My parade was being rained on, and you still can't rain on my parade. So That's how I'm feeling on this Victory Wednesday after a Victory Tuesday, which I was very hyped about on the social apps. I was getting loud. I was starting to lose my voice. I brought the bird mask with me, or helmet, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. Head garment. There's a couple of them too, and I kept. I got before and after the game. I went to the Monday night crew and was trying to I wasn't trying to troll them like the other Eagles fans were. I mean, they were letting Ryan Clark have it for picking the Chiefs.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they were just letting him have it. And then there's one guy right next to me. He was just screaming obscenities. I was like, this seems like a little bit much. And then eventually, I think it was Marcus Spears was like looking at him like, bro, relax. He was very hype. And then security had to tell him hey, can you stop threatening to bomb the stadium?
Yeah.
I kept saying, I kept talking to RC. I kept throwing up the L for LSU, and RC threw it up back. So that was kind of cool. I asked Stanford Steve who his Heisman was. He said Jaden Daniels. That's my guy. They all think SVP, Stanford Steve. Yeah, Stanford Steve. Everybody else, they thought it was great. I mean, we're a crazy fan base, man. We showed up before the game. We show up way before the game, and we hang out way after. And I started a nice "fuck Dallas" chant. That was great. Yeah, it was just a great time.
That's crazy. I could hear that shit on TV too, and I was.
Yeah, I was trying to get right in the picture, right behind or in front of the Monday night crew post game broadcast thing, but I was not able to get right in the middle, so I don't think I was on TV. There was one opportunity where people thought I was on TV, but it was not me. Unfortunately, it was somebody with a more realistic bird head mask thing.
I love the picture of you with the Andy Reid.
Yeah, that was great. She was awesome. I was like, she kind of looked like Andy Reid. And she went all out. She was super cool too. So that was pretty fun.
So I'm glad you had a good time. I'm glad the Eagles went out there and took care of business and got a W, Ty. But we must look forward to next week.
One last thing. If we ever face the Chiefs again, I want us to punt the ball as far out of bounds as possible. I cannot with Kadarius Toney.
Yeah, man.
Listen, he's
He's a
shifty.
weapon.
He's very shifty. And when he's up there against a lot of special teams guys, right, it's not our best tacklers per se. So he's going to make guys miss. And me and Dave Greenlaw, shout out to Dave, we always say on punt returns, the first guy misses like 95% of the time.
Yeah. Josh Jobe made a huge tackle towards the end of that game on the special teams.
One of the last punts in like their own 20 or 30. Yeah, yep. He played. That was awesome. I got really hung. I was, let's go 2-8. The guy next to me is like, who the fuck is 2-8? I'm like, Josh Jobe, baby. So yeah, that was good. But every other punt, he got like 40 yards, and he got like 20, then 15, 20. I do like Britton Covey. He's pretty solid. He gets us like 10, 15 yards.
Good returns
every time. He doesn't. He's probably not going to break many, but just get us some yards. That's all I ask for, right? Don't fumble it. Don't drop it. So yeah, please stop kicking to number 19.
Please stop kicking to Kadarius Toney. He stole my soul in the Super Bowl, so I don't want to see that again.
Brandon Mann, not his best night, but also I think both punters had some trouble.
Yeah, I mean it was nasty out there, so
it was terrible. I can't understate truly how bad the weather was. I know that it's football, and I know these guys have played in bad weather, but it's not like you can just say, oh, I'm just going to play great. Like Mahomes was like 20 of 22 of 43, like. It had an effect.
Nobody played their best game, so
we didn't even want to throw the ball in the first half. It was crazy. Like we had zero interest in throwing the ball. Also, if you took Jalen Hurts over rushing attempts, lock of the century, it was like 8 or 9.5, and he had like 12, 13. So shout out to that.
Yeah, Brian Johnson loves calling that QB draw in the red zone, man. It worked one time, but
yeah, the red zone draw, the QB draw in the red zone works. I like that. I like that a lot. It's something LSU did with Joe Burrow. Kind of split the field wide. And, that O-line, man. O-line really clutched up at the end, too. I know they did struggle a little bit, but it just seems like this team knows how to win and figures out a way. Doesn't matter how. It could be ugly. We had 7 penalties, but all that matters is we get a dub. And like you said, we got to look towards next week. It doesn't get easier. That's for sure.
Well, a little bit. It gets a little bit easier because the Bills have kind of fallen by the wayside, it seems, of recent. As they are 6-5, Ty.
They're desperate now.
If they didn't have the name of the Buffalo Bills and having Josh Allen and all that, then you would be like, all right, yeah, we should be able to take care of business.
Yeah.
They're coming into our crib next week, 4:25 kickoff. We are 3-point favorites as of now, so it's going to be somewhat of a close, contest, or at least Vegas expects it to be. I will say though, Ty, I was a little nervous. I was real nervous about this Chiefs game going into it, just with the whole, the Chiefs being the Chiefs and whatnot. But I gotta believe, I think that we take care of business on next Sunday. I know the Bills are a good team and they are a solid team, but I don't. This is not a team that really worries me all that much. They are coming off of a big win against the Jets, where they put the Jets to bed. They had 32 points to the Jets 6, but I think, like we said, if the Eagles played the Jets not 10 times, then I think we beat them 9 times, and that one time was the game we played them. So it was unfortunate, but I mean they lost to the Broncos, they lost to the Bengals. They had close games with the Buccaneers. They lost to the Patriots. So this is a team that is struggling. I
will say this though, they're desperate.
They are desperate.
And we're like, I'm not going to say we don't need this win or we don't want this win. We're still, the Cowboys aren't far behind us, and neither are the Detroit Lions. So, same with the Niners. But, I don't think there's any games you can just give away.
No.
But if there was a game, we got the Niners next week. If there was a game, and then what? Cowboys
after that, yeah.
If there was a game in this stretch that I wouldn't mind losing, sadly enough, it is this game against the Bills because they are a good team. They need this win. We don't really need this game. We need the next 2 games after that, 100%. 100%. Listen, I want to win all of them. I'm not going to say I don't want a loss, but if there were to be a game where I think maybe we just look slow, or maybe we just look vanilla or something. I don't know if it's necessarily going to happen, but if there was to be one of these games, it would probably be that one, I think.
I think you're right. I think if it's somewhat of a look-ahead spot to a big emotional game next week against the team that you beat in the NFC Championship that was running their mouth saying how lucky we were that their quarterback got hurt and yada, yada, yada. But I think the Bills come into town, Bills Mafia, making their appearance in Jetro.
That's gonna be brutal.
Will be it's gonna be an electric tailgate. I will say
I hope
that.
you're there.
I'm going down. I have to.
Let's go.
I have to go show my love to. I respect the Bills fan base because they are a fan base that reminds me somewhat of the Eagles, who before we won the Super Bowl, they don't win shit, man. I mean, they've had their heart broken time and time again. And
was it 4 in a row in the 70s or 80s?
Oh, the 90s. The 90s, they lost 4
90s.
Super Bowls in a row, which is absolutely
That's
insane.
just, I don't know what I would do.
Off myself is more than likely the answer, unfortunately. But I do think the Eagles are just the overall better team. I think the offensive line will. I mean, the Bills have a good pass rush, but I think it seems like the weather, from what I saw, is going to be okay on Sunday. So it's not going to be ugly. And I think, they don't have Tre'Davious White and all those. Their secondary is good, but it's not. Their defense is just not what it used to be in recent years. And I think there's something going on between Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs because. I mean, you saw Trayvon tweeting, get 14 out of there, and
that was wild,
and things of that nature. And it's not like they don't talk, so he wouldn't be tweeting that stuff if they didn't know there was something going on between. I mean, there was even a problem before the season even started, so I don't know what happened between them. I'm sure one day we will find out, but there is something personal between Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen, or just the offense overall and Josh Allen, because doesn't look the same as it has in recent years, and that's. I mean, it's concerning if you're a Bills fan. It's good for us as Eagles fans because, again, we're largely healthy going into this game. We didn't really lose anybody of note or anything of that nature. I think losing Dallas Goedert, it was apparent that affected the offense last week against the Chiefs. So I think. It's something to look at as time goes on. You saw a little bit more Julio without Dallas Goedert in there, which I think you do need a big pass-catching threat out there. But I think Dallas Goedert, if they haven't put him on IR, then that means he's somewhat close to coming back. We
need to get a tight end, a backup tight end, a solid backup tight end is what we need.
Well, Grant Calcaterra gets hurt every 5 seconds.
Every game. Jack Stoll is just useless.
He's just a blocking tight end. He's not. What they ask him to do is not what he should be doing. So,
the Bills' defense, I'm not too worried about. I think their best corner currently is Rasul Douglas. So that should be some nice bulletin board material for us to try to smoke that guy.
Big AJ Brown bounce back game.
Yeah, Greg Rousseau, AJ Epinesa. They have some decent edge rushers, but I think they're. Front seven, their D line and linebackers are pretty weak. I think that's somewhere we can exploit them. I do have some concerns about their offense because they have some guys. Khalil Shakir has been playing really well lately. Gabe Davis, not very good, but he can take the top off of defense for sure. James Cook is a stud. He can run. He's pretty good out of the backfield. I think he might be better out of the backfield than running. Latavius Murray, he's just a change of pace, big back. Josh Allen can run and throw, and Dalton Kincaid is a fucking X factor. I'm a big fan of. Yeah, it's gonna be tough, man. It's gonna be tough. I think Cunningham didn't have a great game against the Chiefs, right? He was asked to play in space a little bit more. Nick Morrow, I think he got hurt at one point, but he didn't have his best game. So if they're able to kind of do that with Dalton Kincaid, the rookie from Utah, I think we might. It's gonna be a matchup that we're gonna need some help with. Hopefully, Byard or Blankenship can kind of. Hang with them. I don't think that would be a bad option. I think I saw Byard on Kelsey a couple times, and he held his own. So, yeah, I think their O-line's solid. Not great, but I think it's pretty good. Mitch Morse from the Chiefs, Deion Dawkins, a couple other guys. But all in all, I think if we can limit Josh Allen and force him to turn it over, because he loves doing that.
That's the thing.
Force him to turn it over. Just, as long as we don't turn it over, I'm really just. I can't with all the turnovers. So, that pick, the Jalen Hurts pick, that was bad. I saw AJ Brown. I'm like, he's got to step on him, and then just completely underthrown. So, that was brutal. He almost fumbled it too, right? Well, he did fumble it. He just got it back. So the turnovers, man, I'm waiting for them to just go away. But they might be a lingering issue for Jalen this year. The knee is obviously healthier. But it's never going to be 100%. He did look better running. When he was on these QB draws, he was able to kind of go up the middle and kind of bounce it out. But so that at least he's getting better. At least he's getting healthier. Cam Jurgens played. He looked pretty good. So yeah, I think this is going to be like a 37-30 victory for us. Maybe we lose like 38-31 or some shit. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, though.
I think the big thing that you have to think about, or at least look for success for the Eagles, is the fact that, like you said, Josh Allen's thrown an interception in every game since October 1st, which was the London game where he went crazy. Other than that, he's only has 2 games this year where he has not thrown an interception. That was Miami and against Vegas early on in the year. Other than that, he has 12 interceptions this year. So we're going to have to get the ball back through the air. I think it's going to be a very similar game plan to what we just did against the Chiefs. Try and shut the run down. They didn't really do that, but the Bills' offensive line is not as good as the Chiefs' offensive line, I believe. So I think that's going to be the recipe for success. I think it's going to be the recipe for success probably for every Eagle game that you watch. It's just shut the run down, get to the quarterback, and turn the ball over. It's because we're gonna give up yards, we're gonna give up points, we're gonna score points. I think it's just going to be, do we win the turnover battle, like you said? Because we ourselves last year that wasn't a problem because we didn't turn the ball over. This year we turned the ball over a little bit more. So it's a concern.
Yeah, turnovers and penalties have been a little bit more uncharacteristic from this team, but that's fine. I think it will work itself out, hopefully, anyway. I think when the games do get more important, not that they're not now, but I think once the stakes become higher, I think we'll kind of buckle down and we'll settle in, really. Did you see Sirianni say, fuck you, Chiefs fans?
I was just, that's crazy. You read my mind. Literally, I was just thinking that. I was like, I loved him saying, see ya.
I love it.
See ya.
Yeah.
Doesn't want to hear shit from Chiefs fans, and I like that he lets it go a little bit every once in a while, just because it was an emotional game. It was a big time game, whether they wanted to act like it or not. You're playing the people who stole what you wanted last year, and you're going into their house, and that's
Monday night,
people can act like this.
Fucking,
heard people on the radio. Yeah, it's just another game, and you're lying.
Yeah,
you're lying.
That. That was not another game to Eagles or Chiefs fans. They were there for one reason. It was to get a win. Even though they won the Super Bowl, they wanted to fucking smoke us again because it was in KC this time. That was not another game to any single person in that fucking house. I promise you that.
Yep.
Promise you that, especially me. So, I saw somebody say, there's no other coach in the league that would act like that. And I'm like, Robert Saleh would definitely tear a fan's limb off of his body. So don't even try me with that shit.
Dan Campbell was howling like a dog in the locker room last week. I don't want to hear it. That's it's just...
Yeah, that guy consumes like millions of fucking amounts of espresso and coffee and just sugar and whatever else each morning, and just like, he is pre-workout. That is Dan Campbell. So, yeah, I don't want to hear it. Sirianni is,
he's perfect for Philadelphia. He really is.
It's our guy.
It's exactly. I love the
Italian flag on the side of
his visor, by the way.
I didn't even notice that. Yeah, that's awesome. When the time comes and he, has to go, it's going to be a terrible divorce, but we're not going to look ahead to that. So
no, that's all good things must come to an end. But while we are in the good times, we must enjoy them. And all you nerds out there who want him to be like Bill Belichick, he's just not. Okay,
yeah. So Bill Belichick also makes out with his daughter. So,
and as you can tell, Bill Belichick, that whole Patriot way isn't exactly working when they're getting their cheeks clapped on a regular basis.
Yeah,
so
the Tom Brady way, if you will.
So, Ty, we must keep it moving. I think we should move to the Sixers since they are actually playing right now in the more relevant of the squad. They have a game tonight against the Timberwolves, the 10-3 Timberwolves, who have looked pretty good. Yeah, but they lose. They get knocked out of the in-season tournament. Ty, I know you. I called you last night. You were crying. You said that this was you were hoping the one thing you wanted from your sporting life from now on was the Sixers to win the in-season tournament. So I guess you're going to have to wait one more season to see this happen. If this continues to be a thing, I don't know. But
I hope not. It's funny. As soon as we played the first game of this in-season tournament bracket group thing, I was like, man, I don't think this team really cares about this tournament. I think they just don't care. No. I think they'd rather worry about the other games, and that seems like it's true. Also, I think the Cavs are kind of tough. But they didn't even have Donovan Mitchell. That's their main scorer. Darius Garland, though, he played well. Jared Allen dominated. Evan Mobley played really well. Shout out to me for having Evan Mobley's points, rebounds, assists over, Embiid's rebounds over, Maxey points over. Bang. All easy work. But yeah, Embiid's played well, but he didn't shoot well. Same with Maxey. It was really, I think, early on in the game. I feel like they still have had some issues closing games out this season. It's been an issue. I think they played pretty well in the clutch against the Hawks. That was a tough game. But you remember the loss against the Pacers and then the loss against the Celtics and now the one against the Cavs. They just haven't really closed well at all. So it's still going to be an issue at the end of the game. I feel like our guys just it's really nothing Nick Nurse can do. Embiid plays sped up sometimes, and so is Maxey. So yeah,
they blew that into that game last night. Some of those last minutes, like transition, I don't know. I have an issue with the way they don't play any defense. I don't know if Kelly Oubre was the key to all this because they have not looked the same since he got hurt.
Yeah.
So I don't know if him coming back will really make the difference. I know they're calling him Nico Batum now, I thought he was.
Yeah, what's up with that?
I thought he was always Nick Batum, but I don't know. Maybe he changed it up, but I think he's been a nice, solid addition. He's not, he's not the greatest. He's a little slower now than he used to be, but it's just an older veteran presence that I think the team needs.
Same with Pat Bev.
Yeah, and Pat Bev, he's a little bit older, and he's he kind of came in and finally played a little bit of defense on Darius Garland because nobody seems to have wanted to do that last night. I will say I have a couple concerns with Tyrese Maxey though. It's letting
Craig Porter smoke you is probably my number one concern.
Yeah, listen, maybe I was a little bit too brash with the whole. He doesn't need any help, and he's may let Maxey run the team and yada yada. Maybe we were a little premature with that because maybe they do need a little bit of help. I don't know if Zach LaVine's the answer or something along those lines, but. For sure, from what I said in the beginning, I do believe they need somebody to be in that starting lineup next to Maxey who can play some fucking defense. I know D'Anthony Melton's pretty good at defense, but he's a little bit undersized for what they're going to do.
Yeah, he's more of a bench guy too.
Yeah,
he's only 6'3". I think they're both like 6'2", 6'3". And then your next closest wing defender is Tobias Harris, and you're like, all right, well now we're looking at a whole whirlwind of problem. We need somebody. Quite literally, the perfect person we need is OG Anunoby. So,
the problem is though, Ty, they let Maxey he's going to get picked on in the playoffs. It's going to get ugly. They are going to run pick and rolls, get him a bigger guy, a Tatum-esque guy on him, and they are going to attack him as they should. I think that's probably your smartest move if you're the other team. Just go after Maxey, and he's quick, but it doesn't. I don't know if it's even he can't do it, but it seems like a unwillingness to really want to play defense. Am I wrong in that?
No, I don't think you're wrong. I also just think he's he's not only undersized height wise, weight wise. He doesn't have really much strength to him. He doesn't body guys offensively. He's not bad getting downhill. He's gotten a lot better driving to the basket.
Missed
and the one
layup last night. That was tough.
Yeah, the one that rolled out and Embiid basket interference, but he got away with it. Yeah, that was tough. He didn't get the roll, but we absolutely need somebody next to him. I can't agree much more. But I think another name maybe to target. You mentioned him before, Alex Caruso. I think that would be a good guy to keep on that wing. Another guy I'm a big fan of. I think he's a little bit bigger, but he can kind of stretch out and play all over the court. Xavier Tillman from the Grizzlies. I don't know what they're going to do. They need Ja back, but even if he gets back, I think they are cooked. They are just
they might be cooked
pathetic
this year.
Team. So I would love to snag Xavier Tillman, maybe get Caruso or somebody else. Just get a couple pieces. It doesn't have to be superstars. We can score, right? We've shown that we can score. I don't think that's necessarily the issue, but giving up 132 to the Pacers after giving up 126 to the Pacers, Tyrese Halliburton, listen, he's a great player, all right? But 32 assists and 0 turnovers in back-to-back games, we cannot let that happen. That is just unacceptable. So definitely going to be something to work on. Obviously, the Celtics, Derek White now is going to be a thorn in our side. So I think we definitely need to be active in the trade market. I don't know if LaVine's that guy. I don't, because he seems unwilling to ever play defense too.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's
I don't
him
think we can add another one.
They need guys who can score though too, because last night. I was watching Tyrese Maxey get absolutely clamped up by Max Strus, and I was like, oh boy.
Yeah, that was not good.
It was an eye-opening experience watching that game last night.
Yeah, I agree. And tonight is going to be tough too, because the Timberwolves have three of the better perimeter defenders around the league, Anthony Edwards, Kyle Anderson, and Jay McDaniels. Is it Jaden or Jalen? I think it's Jaden. We had Jalen.
Yes.
Of course, we had the worst of the brother.
Yeah.
Of course.
Of course.
So yeah,
Casey
that's going to be, and then, and then they also have two huge tall fellas, Towns and Gobert. So it's going to be a really tough game, man. We just had Mobley and Jared Allen give Embiid fits, so I can't imagine, Gobert and Towns both can pass pretty well. Towns can shoot. Towns can stretch it out. Towns a little soft though. Both of them are a little soft, but they're both huge, and when they're dialed in, that's just a big team. Kyle Anderson 6'8", McDaniels is 6'10". They're both 7 foot. Anthony Edwards is a pretty big guard, so Mike Conley's still balling. I forgot all about him. He's still playing really, really well. So that's a guy who I think would be a huge part of this team. Mike Conley, he could kind of be the lead guard and lead defender with Maxey next to him, but he's locked in over there. So yeah, it's gonna be a tough game, and we have the Thunder after that. That's gonna be a really tough game. Chet Holmgren, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, one of my favorite players in the league.
What SGA is going to do to Maxey or anybody who tries to guard him is going to be bad.
It's going to be bad, yeah. Then you got Jalen Williams, who just plays at 100 miles per hour. Lou Dort, Josh Giddey. I'm the biggest Josh Giddey fan, but again, Chet Holmgren is just a fucking powerhouse. And then we have the Lakers after that, and then the Pelicans. So it's not like we're playing easy teams here. And then we got the Celtics after that. So, and then a couple of easy games. December's looks very easy, but it's still a long year. We look good right now, but the East is pretty. The East, Boston, Milwaukee, Philly. That's the usual suspects at the top. But even Indiana's playing well. Orlando, Miami, they're not playing that bad. So it's going to be a long season, man. And I hope we can just stay healthy, right? Keep Embiid healthy, and just need to get a couple pieces. I'm not asking for a James Harden type move, not him specifically.
I know what you mean though. Like it doesn't have to be star
like a
level.
blockbuster. I would take Alex if somebody's like, "Yo, Levine." I'm like, how about we look at Caruso? How about we look at Patrick Williams? How about we look at a small little, something where we don't have to give up multiple picks and players? How about just like a pick and then a future second, and then maybe look for OG Anunoby? I don't know. We'll see, but
maybe I do think a guy like Levine could have a spot here and be a valuable piece because I think we do need more scoring. I know as
we'd
crazy
score
as that
150
sounds.
easily.
Yeah. But the problem is we also need another guy to play defense because it's become a big problem because people are just cooking Maxey and Melton off of those pick and rolls and they're going downhill and Embiid's standing there having to guard like 2-3 people. So he winds up looking stupid by just standing there. But what do you want him to do? He can only guard one person at a time. And last night there was a couple situations where he was just standing there, and I was like, Jesus, Embiid, he's just standing around on defense. But again, when you sit there and think about it, you're like, what do you really want him to do? He's guarding Jared Allen and Evan Mobley off of a cutting off the back door when Harris or somebody else had to step up, and we had Batum guarding Evan Mobley last night, which is a issue in itself.
That's not going to work.
Yeah,
that is not going to work.
We could use a little bit more help. I am of that thought process, and mainly on the defensive end because I think, and I'd like Maxey to shoot some better shots. I last night I get you're a scorer, you can shoot the ball. Just sometimes he just hucks some bad ones up where you're like, come on, man. Yeah. And just the team in general, he's not the only one. Last night when they were down 3, and there was like 2.5 minutes left. They just kept hucking threes, and I'm like, guys, we could take a bucket here. Like, you have Joel Embiid. Like, let's get the ball down to the MVP, but they were just Harris shooting 3, brick. Melton shoots some really, really bad shots sometimes. So,
yeah,
I guess there's just a couple things that they need to clean up, but it's still early. It's still early on. I'm not going to get all worked up about losses in November, but still, there's just some things you need to fix. And you're getting Kelly Oubre back, so I think when that eventually when that happens, we'll get more of a better look at what this team is. But by the time he comes back,
Philadelphia PA.
Yeah.
PD.
Well, yeah, and hopefully stay off the streets. No more bike riding for him. But I would just, I'm worried that when he comes back and we look good against the bad teams of the league, that it's going to be like, oh, we're fine. And I'll be like, well, not so sure. But, hey, man, what are you going to do? It's still early on. How about, let's keep it moving, though. Phillies, Aaron Nola re-signs with the Philadelphia Phillies. Ty, me and you both shocked by this, I would say, right? I did not. Looked like the clues and the tea leaves were leading towards him not signing and going elsewhere to cash in on a big contract, but it seems like the rumors were that he turned down more money other places to come back to Philadelphia and get that sort of longer-term security in a 7-year, $172 million contract, which will expire, I believe, when he's 37 or 38, which might not look good then, but neither will Trey Turner's contract when he's approaching
usually
40.
Shit like that, you can, at the tail end of contracts, people, including myself, always worry about it at the very beginning. And then once you get to the end, it's kind of like, whatever. We have so much cap space. So many things can happen in 1 year, let alone 7 or 8. Did you see that the Dodgers made a pathetic offer to get him?
What was it?
165
for 7.
I think so.
I saw a couple teams like the Braves. There was a bunch of other teams that were upset. That
apparently
somebody.
Yeah, apparently one team. I don't know who. Apparently one team offered more than the Phillies, but I think if the Dodgers really want to pry him from LA or from Philly, you got to offer 200, right? That's what you got to do. You got to start high, maybe try to be in the 180, 190 range. But if that's what you're trying to do, and they haven't given out big contracts to pitchers, the last time they did was Trevor Bauer, and that didn't work, obviously.
Yeah.
So I think it's a no-brainer for the Phillies and Nola, because I think the Cardinals going from Aaron Nola to Kyle Gibson and Lance Lynn. Oh my goodness, what a downgrade, and what a just absolute pit of misery that state. Also Missouri, just shit state. Misery is what you should call that state. They're not happy. They thought they were getting a legit ace, and now they have 2 bona fide number 5s. So that's pretty much their plan. So yeah, obviously Nola wants to stay in Philly. And my mom keeps texting me like, "You look just like Aaron Nola." I'm like, "Nah, not really, but the hair, yes."
Yeah, I'll take it.
The hair for sure, I'll take it. Yeah, I mean, the Phillies, I think they didn't want to, I don't know, strike out on other guys and then look and be like, "Fuck, we couldn't, we could have just kept Nola at least," because I don't think there are any guarantees in free agency.
No.
There's Yamamoto just got posted, but somebody else just got posted. I forget his name. It's a very
Jung-Ho
the
Lee
tough
or
name to
something
remember.
like that, I think.
So, yeah,
right?
another pitcher. I think it was
no,
him too,
pitcher.
but another pitcher just got posted. I think it was Shingo, something. So, and apparently he's pretty good. He's not going to get as much as Yamamoto, but he's going to get, he's going to get a lot of money. So, and now you see other teams are trying to create flexibility. The Braves are creating a little flexibility. They just signed Ronaldo Lopez, a starter/reliever, but I would not be surprised if they're aggressive to try to get a starter, because they need them. They need starting pitching, right? As good as the Braves are, just like the Dodgers, they need a starting pitcher. The Phillies have knocked the Braves out 2 years in a row. The Dodgers have 2 years in a row have not reached anything. They haven't done shit since 19 or 18? So, or 2020, since they won the World Series. So I think, there's a lot of teams that are going to be desperate. I think the Yankees are going to be desperate. I think the Mets are going to be desperate. I don't know what's going on with the Padres' financial situation. Their owner died. So I think they're, in a tailspin. RIP. I think they probably want to keep Blake Snell at least. So there's going to be suitors, man. There's going to be a lot of teams out there trying to get guys because everybody needs pitching. And I think the Phillies were smart to at least lock down Nola before they lost him and weren't able to get other people, So
I agree.
I would say I was surprised, but now I see how the market's kind of, I'm looking as a Dodgers fan. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck we're doing pitching wise. Like we got, a bunch of our pitchers are hurt. We have Kershaw who's ready to get old Yellered, right? We got Julio Urias committing another act of domestic violence for the 15th time. Like Trevor Bauer, we're still paying him, I think. So we definitely need pitching. I want Yamamoto. If it's 7-2-10, whatever it has to get done. He's 25. It's not like he's 29 or 28 like Hyun-Jin Ryu and Kenta Maeda when they came over. He's much younger, power arm. So, and I think you see a lot of players, a lot of pitchers are coming over from Korea that were in the majors, right? They struggled, fizzled out, go to Korea, kind of find something, a curveball, a slider. And then they come back to the States and they, are looking for second chances. So, yeah, we need pitching badly. And I would have been hype if we signed Aaron Nola. I don't care about anything, the years of the term. If we gave him like 7-2-10, that would have sucked, but I absolutely would have been here for it. So, yeah, it was a good no-brainer, I think, again, by the Phillies.
Yeah, I agree with pretty much everything you just said because, like you said, you don't know how this is going to play out. You could sit there and put all your eggs in the Yoshi Yamamoto basket, but you don't know. I mean, there's going to be 20 plus teams trying to acquire his services. Somebody's going to go out there and offer him a crazy contract. We don't know what he really wants. Does he want the money, or does he want to come here and compete for a championship? What are his, we don't, he's kind of an unknown, so you don't really know where he's going to go or how that's going to end up. And you could still go after him. You trade Taiwan Walker, clear up a little bit of money. You reallocate those funds to go get Yoshi Yamamoto. I saw a report that this doesn't preclude them from going after him, which I like, because I still want the Phillies to get more pitching, because just going back with Wheeler and Nola again, it's every year it's the same thing. We only have two and a half, three good starters with Ranger Suarez. We need a fourth starter, and if you're able to get somebody and move Suarez back down to that fourth spot, then I think we're in a real good situation. So that ideally would be the next thing. I don't know where Blake Snell's going to go. I'm glad the Phillies didn't end up with Blake Snell. That's the main thing I got from all of this, because it seemed like there was a possibility with his ties to the team and everything that he could end up coming here and probably getting grossly overpaid to walk a bunch of people or sit out half of the seasons with injuries and things of that nature. So I am glad the way things played out, and I think the contract is not that bad. I think when you equal it out, he's getting paid a little bit over $20 million a year. I think that's appropriate for a pitcher like Nola. He's dependable.
There's gonna be guys that are worse that get more money this off season, let alone in the next 7 years. So yeah, we always talk about I don't want to give out big money, but if it's a big contract to at least a good / great player, you'll take it. Like if Rhys Hoskins is getting $100 million, you're like, all right, let's slow down a little bit, let's relax. Also, real quick, what do you think of these Mike Trout rumors? Because they're heating up. They're heating up.
Yeah, I would absolutely do. I think we kind of talked about it on one of the last pods. I think the big factor is if Ohtani does not end up going back to the Angels, which we don't think it's going to happen, but I'm sure right now they probably think it's a possibility. If it comes out and he does and he signs with the Yankees or wherever, the Dodgers, wherever he winds up going, then I think the Trout stuff heats up, because Trout has a full no-trade clause, I believe. So it would be a situation where we don't have to necessarily pay that much to get him in a trade. It would kind of just be like, are you willing to take on his contract? Are you guys willing to go to that next luxury tax situation or the shelf? And I think you have to be willing to do it if you want to be one of these teams and want to compete for a championship on a yearly basis. I think it's just getting a guy like Trout. Maybe you throw Castellanos in the deal. I see a lot of that being talked about. I see people saying they wouldn't trade Nick Castellanos. I think you're insane. I think if you can get out from under 3 years of his contract, I think he's a good player, but I don't think he's Mike Trout level. I don't think that's disrespectful to say about getting one of the top 10 probably best players of all time on your team. And I know Trout has, comes along with some injury concerns and whatnot. And I know a lot of people will act like this is just because he's from the area or, this is like a homer sort of thing. It's not. If Juan Soto became available and he was of similar, we could get him for a similar price, I want Juan Soto. If Juan Soto had a 10-year deal attached to him, I'd want Juan Soto. But Mike Trout, getting him, he's going to be here for the rest of his career. And he can still play, other than a few freak injuries that have kind of held him out. And it's a part of the thing, but I think you got to take a shot at it. And I saw Justin Crawford, Nick Castellanos, and Griff McGarry in a second. Wouldn't even think about it.
Yeah.
I know a couple of my buddies were like, I wouldn't want to trade Justin Crawford. But listen, you got to trade some good players to get some good players.
He's 4 years away, man. Like, by the time he's up, like, Bryce Harper might be cooked. You never know. Like, not cooked, but, he's going to get older, right? So by the time Justin Crawford is debuting, let alone by the time Justin Crawford hits his prime, it's going to be like 2027, which is so crazy to think about. But, if you have to give him up, you do it. They made they drafted somebody and it's worked, right? They drafted somebody in the first round. He's playing well. He's a top prospect already, something that they haven't really had good luck with. They've drafted guys in the first round. They retire the next year. And you're like, all right, that's interesting. What do we do now? Or they draft guys that just flame out in AAA or AA. So the fact they were able to draft somebody, a high schooler, let alone, which is really tough to hit on a high school picks. You draft him. I know he has the bloodline, so he's going to have the hype behind him with that, being Carl Crawford's son. he's playing well. Boom, gets bumped up immediately as he makes his debut. And if you can flip him, yeah, it's gonna hurt because you need some outfielders, especially like a center fielder in the future. But I also don't know if he brings you star potential. I don't know if he's going to hit 30 home runs or even 20 home runs.
Yeah.
I think he might just be a single, double stolen base guy who maybe is a good fielder. So, if you can flip him though for Mike Trout, is he ever going to be as good as Mike Trout is right now? Probably not. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. It's like that's what I'm saying. Like, that's why I explain to people. It's not an insult. It's
yeah.
I watched the Phillies not willing to trade Don Brown in multiple trades to get
Michael Taylor,
truly all-time great players. Yeah, so it's I am never I will be wrong about trading a prospect if that's for the right person. If we're trying to win right now, I'm not going to hold on to a Don Brown or a Tyrese Maxey like I've talked about. Even though Maxey, sometimes you're wrong. He winds up being a truly great player, and he could be generational, but.
I'll flip him for SGA if that's the hypothetical.
Or Kevin Durant. That's also when I was talking about it, and they were like, "No, I wouldn't trade him for Kevin Durant." I'm like, "Okay, well, you guys are morons then." I still would do that. I still would. I don't care what anybody says.
He's still balling over there, so
he's still Kevin Durant, and he's still Mike Trout in this conversation. And Justin Crawford is nowhere near the player that Tyrese Maxey is. If we're going to do this comparison,
Griff McGarry is your third best pitching prospect. So you have two studs ahead of him that once they get healthy, or at least the one gets healthy, those are your cornerstones pitching wise. Griff McGarry could be a good pitcher. I'm not saying he can't, but he's older than them, and I think he doesn't throw as hard, and I don't think he's as big as them. So the potential is definitely a little lower. So I think you trade him if you have to.
And I think the big thing would be here is just are you willing to take the contract on? Yes, and it would not be that expensive for prospects. Maybe even if you don't want to trade him, you weasel your way out of trading Crawford and get somebody else in there. That's fine. It's not really about. Excuse me, I almost just threw up on the mic again. It's not really about the prospects or anything like that. It's just more about getting this kind of player in Mike Trout in your system right now. And the contract I'm not really worried about because you've already given out contracts that are going to be, for the next 10 years that are going to hurt your franchise if that's the way you're thinking about it. But we're not really worried about 10 years from now. We're worried about right now. You'll be able to draft players in the interim to replace all of those players when they get bad. You have the Aiden Millers of the world and, the Justin Crawfords for now that will be able to take their spot and play well when the time comes. But I'm willing to trade one of those guys to get Mike Trout. That's just sorry for anyone out there who disagrees. But Ty, and the Flyers are playing well. The Flyers won 5 in a row, so I want to give them their respect.
Wow.
But
all right,
I'm not going to get too worked up about that.
Second place in the Metro. I didn't realize.
No, they're on fire right now. They are. But again, we're not going to get too worked up about that because they're not that good, and eventually it's going to go tipping the other way. And
I will say though, I'm just kind of box score watching, but I'll say Farabee, Tippett, the young kids, Bobby Brink, Sean Walker, Cam York. These guys are putting up points. They're
playing well. Mark Stahl's back.
Oh man. Sanheim has 16, leading the team in points. All right, I thought he was more a defensive guy, and then you got Travis Konechny balling 11 goals. So shout out to him. Shout out to the whole team.
And I love
how's the goalie.
He just came back. I think that's what's kind of spurred this along is that they were playing with Erison and Felix, not Felix.
Cal Peterson.
Cal Peterson. That's right. That psychopath gave up 7 goals the one time I was there. I'm like. And he just stared, they had the camera on him, and you're like, oh, he's about to go off. He's just an absolute Swiss cheese out there. So, nothing to get too worked up about.
Save percentages are in the 800s, and Carter Hart's in the 9s, and his goal against average 2.4. They're in the 3.3. So, clearly a nice upgrade, and it's good to have him back. And crazy, they're in second place behind the Rangers, who seem like they'll never lose. And Washington and Carolina tie for third. So, the Metro is looking a little weak. The Devils aren't playing that well. The Islanders aren't playing that well. Pittsburgh's kind of average. The Capitals, for some reason, are playing well. But how about them fucking Flyers?
How about them Flyers? It is a good time. And I know I see a lot of people that are mad that the Flyers are winning because they want them to tank and get better picks. But I thought that that's what they've been doing. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't
That's what
understand,
they
but
were
they
doing.
get mad at the coach because the coach wants to win. What is the coach supposed to do? I mean,
Yeah.
I guess you could blame management for not trading Couturier for pennies on the dollar, but I'd rather just keep I mean, these guys aren't like 35, 36 years old. These
No,
guys are.
you have like these are the young players that you didn't necessarily tank for, but your team sucked. You traded Drew and everybody else. Like these are the guys you drafted when you were in that kind of phase. Now you're the next step of your phase. They're ahead of the Blackhawks. The Blackhawks have the second worst record in the league behind the Sharks, and they are not that far behind the Sharks. Edmonton, 1 point ahead of us. They have 11. We have 10. Sharks have 7. So you figure Edmonton has to eventually start playing better. I mean, they have 2 of the best players in the league. I know McDavid's playing with an injury, so that sucks. But we're not winning games. We have Connor Bedard. We had a bunch of we have a bunch of picks next year and just going forward. The Flyers had those picks. They drafted those guys, and now those kids are playing, right? So who's the one kid? Frost, is he playing? Is he up yet?
Frost has been he's like a healthy scratch from time to time. So it's
and he might be the youngest of all of them. So I remember they took Farabee a while ago. Boom, now he's one of their best players. Bobby Brink, they didn't take him that long ago, and he's one of their better players. So I would have to be extremely happy. I mean, there was a rumor about Carter Hart getting traded in the offseason.
Yeah.
People were like, whoa, I don't know if I would do that, especially if it's not for like a top prospect and a pick, So it was a good thing that trade got nixed. Second place in the Metro. I mean, 17 games in the season. It's not a lot, but a decent little bit. We're a good chunk into the season. Looking towards December, and then I don't know how you can be mad. I'm more mad about the Blackhawks. I know they're still one phase behind the Flyers, but just playing pathetic, just so poor. So I would be happy as a Flyers fan.
Yeah, and it's like I would trade these guys if the right deal came along, but I'm not just shopping the Konechny's and the Couturiers of the world just because they're not. Like I said, they're not these terribly old players that are holding you back. It's we're right in the rebuild, and we have 2 top 20 sort of younger prospects in Cutter Gauthier and Michkov, who are going to be here at some point. So,
yep, Michkov maybe soon, maybe not, but either way, when he gets there, he's going to be an immediate impact player.
Exactly.
I can't wait to watch him play. Also, silver lining here, Johnny Gaudreau getting a healthy scratch, and they're not playing him at the end of games. Maybe you dodged a bullet there. I don't know. Or maybe Columbus is just fucking stupid because Patrick Laine's also been a healthy scratch.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on over in Columbus. I still that was so heartbreaking when Johnny wanted to come here and we didn't sign him. But maybe they were right. But it's still Chuck Fletcher. I don't have any respect for Chuck Fletcher, so I refuse to give him any credit for anything that he's ever done. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's the Hot Take Hot Box. We took all 4 for 4. We did not talk about the Union. I won't talk about them. So.
One day.
Good luck with all that, whatever is going on over there.
They got to sign Mbappe.
Yeah, they got to sign someone that I have ever heard of before to play, and then I'll start watching. But
you got to come watch I forget the team, the Rowdies. You got to come watch the Tampa Bay Rowdies. That's awesome. I love watching some Rowdy soccer, baby.
Yeah, I won't be watching, but I wish everyone luck.
The players on the team are also a bunch of dicks, so they can go fuck themselves.
Love that. All right, so that's the Hot Take Hot Box. My name is Matt McSweeney. His name is
Ty Capone. As always, remember 2 words: go Birds.